about what you need to be aware of. Apps on your phone, what you need to look out for.
Also, these Ponzi schemes, are they too good to be true? What happened with that magical eye drop? And also Ganesh Chaturthi. So we've got pretty much you covered on all aspects. Without any further delay, let's get started.
Okay, so our first story, as we told you earlier, the big wallet bust. We're going to be talking about what victims are calling a 5,000 crore rupees scam. ABC is going to be getting you the story of how 3 million users seemingly got scammed. It's a wallet scam that shocked India. It's called the TalkCharge scandal. We'll talk about it. It's an app that has emptied the wallets of its customers over the last few years, but people have only grown alert over this last year. We'll talk about the investigation with our expose.
And festival season in full swing. Lalbaugcha Raja draws over 1.5 million people, and it has also entered its 91st year. What makes Ganesh Chaturthi a festival that cuts across religion, political and class divide? How exactly has it transformed from being a private affair to one big public one? We've got you some chapters from the history.
And then we take you to a young girl who is penning a revolution. We'll talk a little bit more about how Mahika is changing the world with one letter at a time. She's quite literally pushing the envelope for a better tomorrow. A mission to make a difference with a number of other young kids helping her. We'll take a deeper dive on the show.
Also coming up on the program, Java's latest bullet, the 42FJ packs in a punch. What is the new 42 on the block all about? An overdrive review. All right, so if you've ever been tempted by an offer that seems too good to be true, you might want to think twice about it. A lot of these scams that go around, they don't appear as scams. They come out as very exciting offers and schemes. But what CNN-news18 Investigation unravels now is another sort of scheme that was actually a Ponzi type scam. One of the biggest wallet scams in India. Now, what did this company do? It promised to multiply and sort of go in and multiply your investments tenfold in just about a few months, offering cashback deals as well to make it seem all is good and very lucrative, almost magical. And you know what it is when it is magical. It goes away in a flash as well. But as millions of users are now discovering these promises were nothing but just illusions.
Let's take you into what this story is. At the center of this storm is a company called TalkCharge. It's a Gurgaon-based company, and they are accused of defrauding over 3 million users to the tune of 5,000 crore rupees. This is what the victims are saying. All over the last few years, with the company founder, Ankush Katiyar, he's now in custody just a few days ago. What started as a set of seemingly attractive deals, you've heard of it, 5% cashback, 10% cashback. They started out in 2017. Very, very quickly, it turned into a financial nightmare for not just singular people. In this, there are entire families that are involved. They're now demanding justice. They're saying they're victims of a larger scam. And our colleague, Yash Goyal and Bhupender Azad, they have the full story in this exclusive investigation. Take a look.
Dialed number does not exist. Please check the number you have dialed.
ऐसी मानसिकता बनी हुई है सर, कुछ भी समझ में नहीं आ रहा। बैंकों से कर्जा लेके हमने इसमें पैसा डाल दिया, स्थिति बहुत ख़राब हो रही है, मरने का मन करता है सर।
Ram Avtar Sharma from Rajasthan Dausa could have never imagined that his hard-earned money and all his saving would be looted. His faith in the app was such that he expected only dividends and no losses. And he's not the only one. He's just one of the many victims of a Ponzi scheme run by a company called TalkCharge, founded by Ankush Katiyar, headquartered in Gurugram. An app that promised to increase your investment multifold is believed to have duped hundreds across the country. It boasts of almost 2 million downloads despite its abysmal ratings. That's the number one red flag right there.
Well, initially introduced as a closed wallet or a prepaid wallet service, TalkCharge attracted a lot of users owing to their cashback offers. Well, a lot of them were attracted and invested huge amounts. Well, they offered quite big cashbacks also. For example, just getting with an investing of 59,999, the users were actually promised to get a cashback of around 7,50,000. Yes, it was a staggering return here which was promised by TalkCharge. Well, people fell prey to it. They invested a lot of amount. But upon talking with the victims in this very case, now they say that it's biggest mistake of their lives.
Everything went well till 2023 when company launched some big money offers. Once a user's trust was gained, it was easy to lure them to invest more. In July 2023, the company started charging 20% convenience fees, which was unusual in many ways. In 2023 August, company launched a promo code no fees with a tag of rupees 1,49,999 rupees to get away with the 20% convenience fees and make withdrawals smoother. And then, in January 2024, the fraudulent transactions began. Customer says that a payment made to a vendor was successful, but biller didn't receive the money. In March 2024, withdrawals and services on the application stopped completely.
सर करीब मेरे परिवार, मेरे रिश्तेदार और मेरा खुद का मिला के अगर देखा जाए ना तो करीब टोटल वॉलेट बैलेंस 1.19 CR में। मेरे को अगर पैसा नहीं मिला ना तो बड़ी दिक्कतों का सामना करना पड़ेगा। मेरे सर 4 बच्चे हैं, 2 बच्चियां हैं, 2 बच्चे हैं, बुजुर्ग माँ बाप है, भाई है, छोटा भाई है, वो अभी तैयारी में लगा हुआ है, कमाने वाला मैं अकेला हूँ। अब 9 लोगों का परिवार साथ में है, सब कुछ, और बैंकों की EMI भी दिक्कत में है सर, बैंक भी फ़ोन करने लग गए हैं।
This app has managed to dupe people from all walks of life, from a small shop owner in Rajasthan to the conglomerate. All fell prey to lure of quick money. During the course of our investigation, we managed to get in touch with over 800 victims from all across the country.
So all these mastermind of this game are siphoned the money, and now they're using in the various other business. Just to give another example, I have also found out details like Ms. Shivani Maheshwari, who is the co-founder of this company, is venture capitalist of many new startups, and she invested like a big amount of money. Her name is coming in the list, so that means she's the prominent investor. And if you read the background of Shivani, before the TalkCharge, she never worked in any company. So how did she garnered like more than 10 crore, 20 crore money in a white name? She invested in shares of a new ventures which ordinary people don't touch also.
There are multiple complaints and FIRs against the promoters of TalkCharge across India. We managed to access an FIR lodged with Economic Offences Wing of Gurugram Police. As per the FIR, it is not just Ankush Katiyar, but co-founder Shivani Maheshwari is also being probed. So are many employees of TalkCharge.
Initially, their business practice was a normal which was happening with many of the companies were offering similar kind of incentive structure. But lately, when they offered deposits, incentives against the deposits, I think there the things started going wrong. And that scheme itself was faulty because on a deposit of 5,000 rupees, they were offering 50% cashback, which is very impractical. I mean, no business you can get a 50% cashback in a year or 2 times.
As CNN-news18's investigation unfolded, Ankush Katiyar evaded capture. But with a growing pressure from victims and a sluggish response from Gurugram police, Delhi police finally apprehended him on September 4th. He now faces charges under IPC sections 120B, 420 and the Haryana Depositors Protection Act.
Multiple complaints have been filed with RBI, SEBI, Income Tax and GST Department. No response till date from any of those authorities. But the scam raises pertinent questions. Do we have enough regulatory mechanisms? Are agency able to efficiently enforce the law? With Yash Goyal and Bhupendra Azad for CNN News 18.
All right, so that's an investigation by CNN News 18. It throws open lots of questions, but above all, the question of accountability and how does one get their money back? The investors or the founders might be in jail, but what happens to people's hard-earned money and how do you stay away from it? Well, that's the focus that we have on TBC. And joining us now to discuss this is Muktesh Chandar. He is a former IPS and a cybersecurity expert as well. Good morning, sir. Thanks so much for joining us on TBC yet again. And Mukteshji, you know, the thing that comes out with this scheme, which is very mind-boggling, is the fact that this is not an OTP scam. This is not people being fooled. This is like a scheme which has been oversold with promises and people fell for it. But the thing that has really stood out in this scam is that generally these kind of cashback schemes or investment schemes are targeted towards an urban crowd. But this time we have people in Rajasthan, in Madhya Pradesh, you heard some case studies over there, them being impacted. So what is this telling you? As internet penetration is sort of getting in, so are the schemes, and people in the hinterlands perhaps and in middle India not quite prepared for it.
Good morning, Sonal. The most important thing is that greed is an important factor which plays a role in all these frauds. And this greed is universal, whether it is urban people or whether they are rural people. Get-rich schemes have been there in past also, and people get blinded by that something which is so good that it cannot be true, too good to be true kind of thing. That kind of skepticism is missing out. And people start believing others that he has got a good money, he has made money, why I should not do that, that fear of missing out. So there are two important factors. One is that greed, other is fear of missing out. These basic human instincts are there in everyone, and that is what is being exploited. The most important question here is that the money is being circulated. The customer's money is going to customers only. There is no profit model in it. Nobody can promise that kind of profit model. But who is to check this? When the bubble is actually growing, that is the time the police and other regulating agencies must start probing into it. That, look, there is a company which is giving so much of money, unimaginable, unsustainable. What is the business model? From where the money is coming? The moment you start analyzing those bank records and other things, bank statements, you will realize that it is the money which is being circulated from the new clients to the old clients, and the bubble starts going. Now, when do you stop this? When the complaint comes, when the fellow disappears, or you puncture the bubble in between? This is the most important question. And in fact, in Goa also, when I was DIG Goa long back, there was a bubble growing. There was no complaint. Everybody was getting money in time. Everybody was making a lot of money. And a lot of Goans started doing that. But I decided to puncture the bubble. So I started investigating and called these companies and looked into their charts. Then we realized that there's no money going anywhere. It is the money which is being circulated. Just like a very simple pyramid scheme of Ponzi scheme. Now, whose role is here? Police would say there is no complainant, and when the complaint actually comes, it is too late. By the time the money has already disappeared, you only have a few accused who will use this money to fight the legal battle, a long battle, and even if they get convicted, the money is not going to come back. That is the crux of the whole problem. Exploitation of the basic human greed, which is universal among literate, educated, even financial people who are involved in the financial sector. They also get trapped into these kind of things. So very simple basic rule: if anything is too good, that most probably it is not true. And then be very skeptical in all these things. The basic business model, how much money can it generate? 2%, 3%, 4%. Somebody is promising you 50%, obviously you can blindly say that it is false. As simple as that. And don't be worried about the fear of missing out, losing out. Because you think that if it is a scam, you are actually protecting yourself. When I'm hearing the case of this person from Rajasthan, I'm deeply worried about such people, because they, without verifying, they invest every single rupee they have got into such schemes, and then they go. And the use of this crypto word is being misused. See, the buzzword everywhere is that crypto is giving you a lot of returns. Yes, it is giving lot of returns, but when you actually have a cryptocurrency in your hand, all these companies are promising money in the name of crypto. You don't even have a valid wallet of your own. The money is going into their account, not into any wallet.
We do want to understand from you, though. You've now told our audiences what they need to be aware of. Anything that looks too good to be true, there's probably a problem there. But I do want to ask you, because you did say earlier, how did this happen? So what I want to highlight for our audiences is this organization had been doing this since 2017. They've only gotten caught, come under the scanner in the last few months. But they've been operating for multiple years. When we took a look at some of the records, there are families that have invested a crore plus into this one app, losing a lot of money. So you earlier said that yes, there was a failure somewhere very clearly here of agencies that should have been more aware that something like this was happening in the first place. But I want you to speak a little bit more to that point, Muktesh ji, because I don't hold audiences too much to blame here. I'm sure there are 70-year-old, 60-year-old people, let's talk 70 plus, they see something like this, they maybe can't even read it correctly on their phones. You know, how much can we tell them to be aware? So there, do you think there's a lack in the system, more needs to be done?
Yes, Toya, you are absolutely right. We can't be blaming the poor victims for everything. But the fact is that any scheme, any business model, is it sustainable or not, and where they are collecting money, there are role of agencies involved. And first of all, being a police officer, ex-police officer, I would say that police also has to be vigilant that in a market such a scheme has come, and whether it is a Ponzi scheme or whether it's a genuine business scheme, they must start looking at it suspiciously from the very beginning. Because as I told you in the beginning, there are no victims, because everybody is getting the money. And the fact that this company has been able to sustain for such a long, that means the bubble was growing larger and larger. Right. As I told you, any financial investigation would immediately reveal that they have not invested into anything to make such a money. Where can they invest? Have they invested into real crypto? Where are the crypto wallet accounts? How much money they have made? The money which is being paid to so many customers genuinely is coming from the new customers only. When the new customer supply dries, everything will collapse. And the pyramids collapse like that only. The new customers keep coming. As long as they keep coming, the business model sustains, because it is their money which is being used to fund all the operations and all the lucrative promises they have been making. The moment new business stops coming, and the pyramid starts collapsing. But when as I told earlier, who is supposed to puncture it? Or do we let the bubble go to the fullest extent, thousands of victims be there, and then when the bubble actually bursts on its own, that is the time do you react on a complaint and start acting? This is reactive policing. This is the reactive way of even RBI or SEBI or any other regulating agencies.
Yeah.
What I say is that we must start probing the bubble when it is small.
Muktesh ji, मैं interrupt कर रही हूँ. Muktesh ji, I'm interrupting because I want to shift the focus here, not so much on who's accountable, but to what can we as citizens do. As we all understand, there's only so much policing, there's only so much SEBI guidelines, there's only so many RBI guidelines that can be followed. And we've discussed this in multiple occasions in the past as well, that the power of the button is in our hand and we've got to exercise it. Right? But here it seems like it is not just, like I said, this is different from an OTP scam. This is like a Ponzi scheme gone digital. It's the same scheme, it's the same kind of allurement, it's just that it's happening digitally, right? So for people in small towns or even educated individuals investing in it, can you give us 3 questions that you should ask yourself before you make an investment in any kind of these schemes?
As I mentioned very clearly, if a scheme is promising you very high returns, see, the comparison is FD. If FD gives you 7% of about 7% of interest, and anybody is promising you 20%, it's fake. Just presume it is fake. Don't even get into it. And particularly for the small towns, use safest investment options of mutual funds or something like that. Never ever go into crypto or something which you don't understand. The second is that don't believe what others are saying to you, because they do not know. Use your own discretion. It's as simple as that. And just because it is there in the market, just because no regulating agency has ever investigated it, you don't trust this scheme. All these things are happening virtually. You are not there physically connected to anybody. It's all disappearing. It's a black hole. Just understand that.
Okay, Mukteshji, thank you for those 3 takeaways. I just want to give our audiences that last cue. There's nothing like free money. I think that was the essence of what you were saying too. Anytime there's any offer that looks like it's too good to believe, it probably isn't real. Mukteshji, thank you for joining us early this morning to bring us our audiences that perspective. Okay, we're going to take you, our audiences, now from this explainer to something entirely different. Let's shift focus very quickly to stories that are taking place not just in India, but also across the world. First, it's an update on a story we actually brought you earlier this week. We talked a little bit about the Pressvu eye drop that is now being used as a possible replacement, or it was marketed at least as a replacement to reading glasses. The drug regulatory body in India had earlier given a nod to it, but they've now revoked the license of N18L Pharmaceuticals' Pressvu eye drop. And we covered it, a number of other media agencies covered it. Central Drug Standard Control Organization has suspended the license they've given out to them for the marketing and the manufacturing of this eye drop. This is over, as we highlighted on the show, safety concerns. We talked about Pressvu. Remember, it was in the headlines for making claims that it could eliminate the use of reading glasses entirely. The drops were to hit the retail shelves in October. According to the order, the suspension came because the company failed to justify their product's capabilities, and the claims can potentially mislead the public. Remember, this is what experts on our show had said also. Now, the organization has said that they're going to challenge the drug regulatory body's decision in court.
All right, that was yet another example of too good to be true. Watching out for that. But let's move on to what's happening in California, where South California wildfire has burnt down dozens of mountain homes, and a blaze swept through a ski resort and forced people to evacuate. According to Los Angeles Fire Department, around 40 homes and cabins burnt in the villages of Mount Baldy. Approximately 18,000 people have been ordered to evacuate homes as well. The fire destroyed dozens of homes as it grew over 23,000 acres. And by Wednesday afternoon, the fire had blackened over 100,000 acres of scrub, bush, forest, an area a third size of Los Angeles.
And Asia's most powerful storm this year, Typhoon Yagi, has wreaked havoc in Vietnam. It's killing at least 100. It's killed at least 179 people, and 145 people as we speak are still missing. Thousands of people have been evacuated. This is from Vietnam's capital of Hanoi. The death toll has increased in Vietnam. This is due to subsequent landslides and floods that have been triggered by the strongest typhoon this year. The storm tore down bridges, roofs of buildings, and it caused great damage to factories.
To some happy wagging tales now. The new Guinness World Records Annual is released on Thursday, with records on display ranging the largest electric toothbrush to a collection of wacky vehicles to the largest hands and feet on a teenager. 16-year-old Eric Kilburn Jr. from America is one of those who made the book. Wearing size 23 shoe, he took the record for the largest hands and feet on a teenager. The other record holders include Sudhakar's museum in Hyderabad, run by 60-year-old Sudhakar, who has the largest collection of these vehicles.
And what you're looking at on your screens, a picture of joy. This is as King Charles received a group hug from the rugby team in New Zealand. They're called the Black Ferns during their visit to Britain for a match against England's Red Roses. One of the team's members actually asked the King for a hug. The monarch agreed and said, "A hug? Why not?"
Georgian motorsport competitor, the Georgia drove on the surf water for over 20 miles on his modified motorcycles. The vehicle was fitted with handmade skis to enable the bike to glide on water. However, he still had to maintain a high speed to avoid sinking and had to watch out for even small waves that could have destabilized his motorcycle. The daredevil said he had been in training for about half a year for this to happen.
And we're going to be taking you now to a report. Researchers are saying they've unveiled a robotic leg. They say it's powered by artificial muscle and it can navigate diverse terrains with ease and efficiency. More details in this next report about what could be revolutionary technology.
What if robots had artificial muscles? That's the challenge scientists from the ETH Zurich and the Max Planck Institute for Intelligent Systems have decided to take on. Traditional robots typically employ motors to power their movements. Instead, this robotic leg uses artificial electrohydraulic muscles to mimic the action of a human leg. So how does it work? The artificial muscles are oil-filled plastic bags with conductive black electrodes on the sides. When an electric charge is applied, the electrodes attract each other due to static electricity, pushing the oil to one side and shortening the bag. Here is Thomas Buschner, doctoral researcher at the ETH Zurich.
When we activate these muscles, the so-called electrohydraulic actuator zips together, which means the electrodes come closer and push the oil to the other side of the actuator. This leads to a contraction and thickening of the muscle, similar to a human muscle.
A key feature of the leg's design is the antagonistic pairing of these muscles at each joint.
So antagonistic, just like our biceps and triceps, they work against each other. If the biceps contracts, the triceps stretches, and the other way around, the biceps stretches when the triceps contracts.
The advantage? It can adapt to the environment without needing sensors to constantly monitor its angle.
The electrohydraulic muscle is inherently compliant and can be adjusted in its stiffness purely based on the level of voltage that we apply. This is key when stepping on uneven terrain, and because this dampens the motion while allowing for stability.
The research was published in the Nature Communications journal, and while the technology is still in its early stages, the team is already envisioning its potential applications. Buschner imagines a future where battery-powered robots equipped with artificial muscles could be deployed for tasks like rescue operations. The team is now focusing on developing artificial muscle systems to incorporate tendons and joints.
All right, from all that science to some belief now. We're going to slip into a break and on the other side take you to Lalbaugcha Raja and the history behind it. The fascinating chapters of history on how they are unfolding and why Ganesh Chaturthi continues to be one festival that cuts across religion, political and even class divide. That's coming up in a moment from now.
From smartphones to medical devices and artificial intelligence, semiconductors are fueling a revolution. India has recognized its potential and is poised to become a global hub for semiconductor manufacturing. Under the leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, India has unveiled an ambitious roadmap to position itself at the forefront of this vital industry. India's journey to becoming a semiconductor powerhouse took a decisive step with the launch of the India Semiconductor Mission. This initiative aims to build a robust ecosystem for semiconductor and display manufacturing, driving growth in key areas such as silicon semiconductor fabs, display fabs, compound semiconductors, sensors and semiconductor packaging. The ISM seeks to establish a thriving design and innovation environment, positioning India as a global leader in electronics manufacturing. By focusing on long-term strategies to develop cutting-edge manufacturing facilities, a secure supply chain and essential intellectual property, the mission aims to fuel sustained innovation in the semiconductor industry. The Indian government has approved projects amounting to 1.5 lakh crore under the India Semiconductor Mission. Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurated Semicon India 2024, kicking off a 3-day event that aims to highlight India's strategy and policy to become a global hub for semiconductor manufacturing and innovation.
भारत के लिए चिप का मतलब सिर्फ टेक्नोलॉजी भर नहीं है। हमारे लिए ये करोड़ों एस्पिरेशंस को पूरा करने का माध्यम है। आज भारत चिप का एक बहुत बड़ा कंज्यूमर है। इसी चिप पर हमने दुनिया का सबसे बेहतरीन डिजिटल पब्लिक इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर बिल्ड किया है। भारत में लास्ट माइल डिलीवरी सुनिश्चित करने में आज ये छोटी सी चिप बड़े बड़े काम आ रही है।
Due to disruptions caused by the pandemic and increased labor costs, many global manufacturers chose to spread out their supply chains, moving some productions away from China. The China-Taiwan conflict and increasing tensions between US and China exposed vulnerabilities in the global semiconductor supply chain and led to disruptions in industries such as automotive, electronics and medical devices. This crisis sparked a shift in global strategy to diversify chip production, with India emerging as a key player in these efforts. During his recent visit to Singapore, Prime Minister Narendra Modi and his counterpart Lawrence Wong visited a leading Singaporean company in semiconductor and electronics sector and discussed ways for collaboration in this critical industry. He also met with CEOs from the semiconductor industry and encouraged them to consider India as a viable location for expansion. The government has given the green light to Kane Semicon Private Limited to establish a semiconductor facility in Sanand, Gujarat, with an investment of 3,300 crores. Besides Kane Semicon, there are currently 5 semiconductor projects approved by the centre, including a chip fabrication plant in Dholera, Gujarat, and 4 chip packaging facilities. 3 packaging units are in Sanand, Gujarat, and 1 is in Moregaon, Assam. The Maharashtra government recently approved a $10 billion proposal for a new semiconductor chip manufacturing facility. India is no longer watching from the sidelines. It is now actively involved in the global semiconductor production industry. With a large electronics market and a skilled workforce, India is a force to reckon with in the global technology scenario.
21st century के भारत में the chips are never down. और सिर्फ इतना ही नहीं है, आज का भारत दुनिया को भरोसा देता है, when the chips are down, you can bet on India.
From smartphones to medical devices and artificial intelligence, semiconductors are fueling a revolution. India has recognized its potential and is poised to become a global hub for semiconductor manufacturing. Under the leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, India has unveiled an ambitious roadmap to position itself at the forefront of this vital industry.
Welcome back to the Breakfast Club. Let's now take you to our person of interest. We're going to be penning an exciting chapter in our person of interest segment today. That was a little clue. At just 12, Mahika Mishra founded Letters for Change, or LFC. It's an organization, and she created it after a letter that she wrote to address a civic issue went viral. Imagine this. Today, it's a team of bright, passionate kids. They're running the show entirely. They're handling everything from sorting out the letters that come in to ensuring that young voices receive a platform.
Now, whether it's tackling environmental issues, advocating for mental health or sanitary facilities, Mahika's organization works to ensure that each of these young ideas are heard. And these guys are truly, as they say, pushing the envelope in a way. Let's go over and get in a word from Mahika on why she does what she does. Let's welcome her on the program. Hi, good morning, Mahika. How are you doing? We have to start by understanding from you, how did it all start? What made you think of writing letters to get attention to issues?
I was 11 when the journey began. I was in the car with my dad. I expressed a concern to him. He told me to pen it down. We wrote a letter, sent it to Mr. Anand Mahindra, and then we forgot about it. For 2-3 months, we just forgot. I had exams in the middle, and it just went out of our head. And then we saw a tweet. My dad saw a tweet on Twitter, and he came home and he goes, "You're gonna get a reply from him." And that triggered a discussion that went off in so many different ways, and we just went that if I can say one thing and it becomes so big, if my voice is so loud, imagine if thousands of children whose voices are unseen and unheard of, what if they say things as well?
So that original letter we just showed our audiences, it talks about honking and just the noise pollution in general in the city that you're in. But tell us, what made you go for a handwritten letter? Because Mahika, I must say, young kids today, how much are they using a pen and paper versus, for example, just typing it out on their phones?
So we have 4 cornerstones, and handwritten letters is one of them. Handwriting is a reflection of personality. It's a personalized touch to your own message that you're writing down. It is also that a pen and a paper are accessible to everyone. Children most likely do not have access to technology. No parents would know that if their child knows how to write an email or etc. Pen and paper is with everybody, and we're working at the base level over here.
Right, makes sense. But the question, Mahika, then is how is all of this translating into impact and change? Letter writing is one. How is LFC now ensuring that change actually happens?
When children write a letter, we get them and we publish them on the website. We also go on Instagram and invite people to talk about the letters, to discuss them, to raise awareness about these issues that children are facing, these changes that they have, these thoughts, they're challenging societal norms, they have dreams and wishes that they write down. We have a no topic and no format it's a cornerstone. We follow a rule where it says no topics, no formats, a no competition environment, and only handwritten letters. So this gives a lot of freedom to children, which is always confusing for a lot of people to understand that what will they write? They write whatever they want.
Mahika, we have to ask you, since the organization has now opened itself up to children asking and sending in their own letters, is there a particular letter in the last few years that someone has sent in that has stayed with you or that you've loved?
There is stories about how this young girl wrote that, I don't think my mom loves me as much as she loves my sister. And what can you say about that? That is not something you can go and call a parent and say that your daughter doesn't think she loves you. But sometimes when we say stuff, people don't take it the same way. And that's probably what happened over there. There are countless such letters that each of them is so important. I cannot put to words how much it means to me that people are willing to share things like that and be in a safe space and be comfortable enough and bold enough to come out and say that.
Nice. So it's not just a letter for change. For many people, it's a letter of outlet just to say things and get it out of the system, which is quite fascinating. So if, Mahika, if we were to throw a challenge at you and we were to say that you could write one letter that could have a massive impact tomorrow, you had one wish list and not just Anand Mahindra but many over and above in the power corridors could hear you and see that letter, what would you write about?
It would be that everyone that has written all these letters and their dreams in them, their stories, they all come true. All their wishes, hopes, dreams, everyone that is involved with Letters for Change, everyone that is here, every child's voice gets amplified, that people listen to them and value what their thoughts and feelings are.
So such a generous answer. Okay, Mahika, we have a young person on POI. We like to ask them what's next. So tell us, we know you're an avid film buff, you like writing very clearly. Do you hope to be a writer? Is that the right natural conclusion?
Well, I love writing and reading and movies. It's not set in stone. Nothing is set in stone. We'll see where the future takes us.
All right then. She writes more than she talks, clearly, but we leave it there. Mahika, thanks so much for joining us and good luck with all those letter writing. But let's shift focus now. And we are in middle of a 10-day Ganesh Chaturthi festival. Clearly the festive season has kicked in across the country. And today, we bring you the story of the most famous Ganesh Pandal in the country. It is indeed the Lalbaugcha Raja. Such is the following of Lalbaugcha Raja that it draws over 1.5 million people during the festival. And as of 2024, the Lalbaugcha Raja has entered 91 years. So what draws people here? People who cut across religion, political and class divide.
The history behind Lalbaugcha Raja is obviously very fascinating. It started in the 19th century when India was under British rule. Our next report, brought to you by Sonal, takes you through everything that has happened, the chapters in history that turned Lalbagh and even Ganesh Chaturthi into one of the most loved festivals in the country. Let's take a deeper look.
Lalbaugcha Raja, a prominent figure in Mumbai's Ganesh Chaturthi celebration. This iconic Ganesh idol, installed in Lalbagh, a bustling locality in Mumbai, is known for its grandeur, artistry and the devotion it inspires amongst millions of devotees. Devotees that cut across religion, political and class divide. The story of Lalbaugcha Raja began in the early 1930s. At that time, Mumbai was experiencing a surge in Ganesh Chaturthi celebration thanks to this man. Freedom fighter and social reformer Bal Gangadhar Tilak, who transformed the festival from a private family occasion into a public celebration. The transformation began in the late 19th century. Tilak envisioned a broader purpose for the festival, to unite the people and foster a sense of community and national identity amidst colonial oppression. He encouraged establishment of public Ganesh pandals to facilitate a large-scale celebration, turning a festival into a community event, promoting unity and a sense of shared purpose. What started during the British Raj as a festival of national unity carries on till date. Lalbaugcha Raja alone draws over 1.5 million people during the 10-day Ganesh Chaturthi festival. As of 2024, Lalbaugcha Raja has entered 91 years. And it's just one of the over 10,000 pandals spread all across Mumbai, and lakhs take Lord Ganesha home. Meaning, you might be from a different economic background, different religion, but Bappa is for everyone.
After the 42 and the 42 bobber, we're going to be shifting focus from that important video to something entirely different. We're taking you to the roads now. After the 42 and the 42 bobber, Java launches an all-new Java 42 F6 FJ. This features a new and updated Alpha 2 engine, revised underpinnings and much more. The 300 to 400cc motorcycle space in India is witnessing a new entrant recently in the form of the Java 42 FJ.
It is a second offering from the Pune-based brand on its revised 350 platform and goes against the Honda CB 350 RS amongst the others. Design, engine, price, we don't know the details, but Overdrive does, so you can look at that.
Alright guys, so this is the new Java 42 FJ which has just launched. The prices start of this motorcycle at 1,99,000 rupees and it goes up all the way to 2,20,000 rupees depending on the spoked wheels or the alloy wheels that you choose and the color scheme that you opt for. Now this of course is not the base variant. This model will set you back by around 2,10,000 rupees if I'm not mistaken, and overall there are quite a few small tweaks and new features that the motorcycle has compared to the older model, because this is the third 42 version of the motorcycle that Java has for us. You have the regular Java 42, you have the Java 42 bobber, and now you have this one, the Java 42 FJ, which sits right on top of that list. Now starting from the front, yes, it has a nice 18-inch wheel, nice broad 100 section tire on there. The fit and finish levels, as you can see all over the motorcycle, are really nice. This paint level, the quality of the paint has improved tremendously. A nice big disc brake up front. Telescopic fork, a more substantial unit than the one on the simple 42. It is a 41 diameter fork up front. As you can see, the headlight unit is all new. Some nice branding on there as well. And of course, the headlight housing unit is this nice aluminum finish now. So yes, it is a very nice looking motorcycle from the front. And of course, the main thing about this motorcycle has to be that engine. Now this is the Alpha 2 series engine, which is the same one that features in the Java 350 Classic and the SD Adventure and a couple of other models. This engine is configured to give you a higher output. So it's up in terms of power and torque as well. This one makes around 29 PS of max power and around just under 30 Nm of max torque. So how that fares out on the road, you have to figure out. But as you can see, very nice looking engine, all the finished parts, even the brushed aluminum parts, the paint of the actual metals, the tank, as you can see, is all new. This is a different section they have on the tank here as well. Looks a lot neater than it ever did before. And you have the upswept exhaust, rear suspension, twin shocks at the rear once again, but they are more sturdier units than the units found on the regular 42. Coming to the rear, you have a nice 140 section tire, I think it is, yes, and a 17-inch rim at the rear. So overall, a very nice motorcycle. The rear is also finished really nicely because you get these two split grab handles now at the rear. Looks a lot nicer. The wheelbase has extended. It's around 1450 and ground clearance is around 178 mm. It has gone up. It's one of the largest in its segment actually. And the seat height is also at a decent level. Quite neat overall. And of course, the major talking points of this motorcycle have to be the chassis and the engine. Now the chassis is the same double cradle frame that is carried over from the Java 350, but of course the mounts are different for the engine, and the rear subframe, the swing arm have all increased in length, and it is very different from the other models that Java have currently in the market. So configuration wise, this is very unique, and yep, this model comes with dual channel ABS. Ride mode is not too sure of. The switch gears feels nice and crisp, and yep, once you actually get on the motorcycle, it's not too bad. The rider triangle has improved, I'd like to think so, but we will reserve our judgment for that when we actually get our hands on this motorcycle to ride it. Overall fit and finish levels, well, which were a concern before, have improved. That's a real good point. And of course the engine up on power compared to before, that's a real good thing as well. Now yes, you might be wondering why this model is called the FJ in the first place. Now that is a throwback to the actual founder of the Java brand, the visionary. His name is František Janeček. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. He's a Czech guy, and yep, the only time you will get to see that kind of branding on this motorcycle is in this small portion out here. It's a little subdued, but that is what it is. So that's the 42FJ. You can see these nice brush finished panels as well, and the foot pegs. Looks really nice overall. Do let us know what you think about this motorcycle. Do you think it's worth the money? Starting off at 1,99,000 rupees, going up all the way to 2,20,000 rupees. This one, this color scheme, as is, will set you back by 2,10,000 rupees. How do you think it works out? Is it worth it? Do you think it's good? Let us know in the comments.
Okay, next we take you to a special section on financial markets. It's powered by Money Control Pro, Money Control's premium destination for investing and business insights. First markets, GIFT Nifty indicates a strong start for the day. Asian stocks rise on hopes of a Fed rate cut in the near term. US equities closed higher on Wednesday. This is with a boost from technology sector stocks. Crude oil prices stay range bound. This is due to continuing lower demand.
Let's look at sector in focus this morning. Two distinct trends in the consumption space are a shift to branded products and growing premiumization of demand as well. Even consumer wear categories, either through a domain of unorganized players, are seeing growing preference for branded products. The sector offers an opportunity for investors given the meaningful headroom for growth. You can log into Money Control Pro to find out more about the consumer sector and various other actionable insights on the markets. It is a premium destination for all your investing views and financial insights you will ever need. Brought to you by Money Control.
And with that, we are drawing our show to a close. We hope you found the show helpful, especially what we started out by. The apps, the offers, the cashback offers that you should be cynical of, and the ones that you can actually go in for.
That's right. And tomorrow we will talk about all things tech, including the new Apple phone. What is it all about? Catch us tomorrow, 8 a.m. to know more. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
India's journey to becoming a semiconductor powerhouse took a decisive step with the launch of the India Semiconductor Mission. This initiative aims to build a robust ecosystem for semiconductor and display manufacturing, driving growth in key areas such as silicon semiconductor fabs, display fabs, compound semiconductors, sensors and semiconductor packaging. The ISM seeks to establish a thriving design and innovation environment, positioning India as a global leader in electronics manufacturing. By focusing on long-term strategies to develop cutting-edge manufacturing facilities, a secure supply chain and essential intellectual property, the mission aims to fuel sustained innovation in the semiconductor industry. The Indian government has approved projects amounting to 1.5 lakh crore under the India Semiconductor Mission. Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurated Semicon India 2024, kicking off a 3-day event that aims to highlight India's strategy and policy to become a global hub for semiconductor manufacturing and innovation.
भारत के लिए चिप का मतलब सिर्फ टेक्नोलॉजी भर नहीं है। हमारे लिए ये करोड़ों एस्पिरेशंस को पूरा करने का माध्यम है। आज भारत चिप का एक बहुत बड़ा कंज्यूमर है। इसी चिप पर हमने दुनिया का सबसे बेहतरीन डिजिटल पब्लिक इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर बिल्ड किया है। भारत में लास्ट माइल डिलीवरी सुनिश्चित करने में आज ये छोटी सी चिप बड़े बड़े काम आ रही है।
Due to disruptions caused by the pandemic and increased labor costs, many global manufacturers chose to spread out their supply chains, moving some productions away from China. The China-Taiwan conflict and increasing tensions between US and China exposed vulnerabilities in the global semiconductor supply chain and led to disruptions in industries such as automotive, electronics and medical devices. This crisis sparked a shift in global strategy to diversify chip production, with India emerging as a key player in these efforts. During his recent visit to Singapore, Prime Minister Narendra Modi and his counterpart Lawrence Wong visited a leading Singaporean company in semiconductor and electronics sector and discussed ways for collaboration in this critical industry. He also met with CEOs from the semiconductor industry and encouraged them to consider India as a viable location for expansion. The government has given the green light to Kane Semicon Private Limited to establish a semiconductor facility in Sanand, Gujarat, with an investment of 3,300 crores. Besides Kane Semicon, there are currently 5 semiconductor projects approved by the centre, including a chip fabrication plant in Dholera, Gujarat, and 4 chip packaging facilities. 3 packaging units are in Sanand, Gujarat, and 1 is in Moregaon, Assam. The Maharashtra government recently approved a $10 billion proposal for a new semiconductor chip manufacturing facility. India is no longer watching from the sidelines. It is now actively involved in the global semiconductor production industry. With a large electronics market and a skilled workforce, India is a force to reckon with in the global technology scenario.
21st century के भारत में the chips are never down. और सिर्फ इतना ही नहीं है, आज का भारत दुनिया को भरोसा देता है, when the chips are down, you can bet on India.
From smartphones to medical devices and artificial intelligence, semiconductors are fueling a revolution. India has recognized its potential and is poised to become a global hub for semiconductor manufacturing. Under the leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, India has unveiled an ambitious roadmap to position itself at the forefront of this vital industry. India's journey to becoming a semiconductor powerhouse took a decisive step.
Good morning, viewers. Hello and welcome to the Morning News Show, where we bring you the latest headlines and insightful stories to kickstart your day. I'm Kohina Sharma and you are watching CNN News 18. First up, on top of this bulletin, we're tracking some breaking inputs. Now, Prime Minister Narendra Modi attended Ganesh Puja at the residence of Chief
Chief Justice of India D.Y. Chandrachud's residence in New Delhi. Now, the Prime Minister was seen offering his prayers to the deity along with the Chief Justice and his spouse Kalpana Das. So these are the latest inputs that we are tracking from the ground, where Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to Chief Justice D.Y. Chandrachud for Ganesh Chaturthi rituals has also now drawn sharp criticism from all across. Now, joining us on the broadcast is our colleague Pallavi. A very good morning, Pallavi. What more details are we gathering from the ground on this front?
So we saw those pictures which came out late last evening of the Prime Minister attending a Ganapati Pujan upon invitation coming in from the Chief Justice of India. And you can see those pictures up on your screens. But the morning after, there certainly has been a lot of politics over it. The opposition parties have begun to attack both the CGI as well as the Prime Minister. If you look at the Constitution, that's what they're talking about. There's a separation of the three pillars of democracy: the executive, the legislature, as well as judiciary. And the reason behind this is that they act as check and balances against each other. Now, according to opposition parties, if the Prime Minister, who's a part of the executive and legislature, is himself going to the residence of the judiciary, in this case, of course, the Chief Justice of India, then those lines or those divisions are completely blurred. So how do you expect a non-partisan kind of a judgment? That's the insinuation which is coming in from the opposition parties. Of course, the charge is being led by someone who is a advocate herself, which is Indira Jaising, but it's a voice which is now being echoed by many in the opposition spectrum. The Congress is talking about it, the NCP is talking about it, Shiv Sena Sanjay Raut is also talking about it, saying that this is unprecedented and this was absolutely incorrect because it conveys a very wrong message. That's one. And second, ahead of the Maharashtra elections, whenever it takes place, is this the Prime Minister's attempt, along with cameras, I'm using their words, is this the Prime Minister's attempt to woo the Marathi voters by attempting the Ganapati Pujan organized by the CGI? So a double messaging coming in from these pictures, according to opposition parties, and both of them are a violation of the constitutional and democratic norms.
Right, Pallavi, I'll request you to stay with us on broadcast as our legal correspondent Ananya Bhatnagar is also joining us on the broadcast. A very good morning, Ananya. Amid the